you have an interest in the U.S. election anytime it comes up. Are you getting the steez and the vibe as we have always seen, or this is a different kind of fire and level?
No, I think it's the same, especially because there are a couple of unprecedented things that have happened in this election. I mean, on a normal basis, the U.S. election always evokes a certain level of interest and all across the world, not just in Ghana. I remember in 2008, people would stay up late in the night to watch the debates. And I had friends in Kenya, even in Japan, you know, when Obama had run, there was a group in Japan that was supporting him because of his connection to Asia, Indonesia. So from a geopolitical standpoint, because of the U.S.'s position in global politics, the election there also does have a certain level of interest because of the geopolitical dimensions, because as the saying goes, if the U.S. coughs, everybody catches a cold. So it also has that geopolitical dimension as well. So the interest and the passion about it is there. But even more so this time, because of a couple of unprecedented dynamics. We had, for the first time, Joe Biden, a president, just literally 3 or 4 months to an election, step down. That has never happened before. And then he steps down.
Because he had started waging the campaign.
He had started waging the campaign. And interestingly, he also went through the primaries and got nominated. And then he steps down. That's very unprecedented. And then we had Kamala Harris, his vice president, avoid a contestation or avoid what they call a floor fight at the convention, and everybody agreeing that she should be nominated. So she comes in and pretty much has to wage a campaign on the fly, on a daily basis, because she just literally had a few months to do it. And then we have the first African-American female presidential nominee of a major political party. So these definitely the vibe and the steez and the electricity is there. Now we have Donald Trump, who is as unconventional as he comes, as bombastic as he comes, as, you know. So these dynamics have converged together to make it a very different election.
Donald Trump he comes across as somebody who is very much protective, for want of a better expression, of America, while Kamala Harris and the team will also be, if you like, very liberal in the way they want to. What does America need at this time? An overly protective president, or somebody who is open to people to come in? Angela called it a horror movie, for example, when Donald Trump was president, for people who lived outside. You know, what does America need now?
Well, I guess the people of America will decide, because yes, there are a couple of people who would describe it as that, but you'd imagine that for other people on the other side of the aisle, I mean, they love this man. He represents the kind of politician that they'd always looked for, somebody who would say it as it is, somebody who would be unconventional, who would be politically incorrect, and who would use all the words that you don't, he called Africa a shithole, for goodness sake, you know, and all of that. So, yes, there were people who felt this was very unrepresentative of who America was, who were very, very incensed by it. But then at the same time, there were others who loved it, because he just came out of nowhere, and he was the kind of politician that people were tired of politics as usual, and they just wanted something different. So where does America stand? What do they want? I mean, I guess we'll see what they say. But if you look at the broad expanse of the political landscape, you look at the major issues that are dominating the election: abortion, climate change, foreign policy, jobs, immigration, housing, inflation, and healthcare. It gives you, look at the polls, you get a sense of where Americans stand. On abortion, 53% support Kamala Harris as opposed to 36% supporting Trump. So they believe Kamala Harris will do better when it comes to abortion or female reproductive rights. Okay. Now we go to healthcare. 50% believe Kamala would do better for them when it comes to their healthcare compared to Trump. And you know, it was the Democrats, Obama, that introduced the Affordable Care Act and all of that. Climate change, very big issue, not just in the US. We all know about the Paris Climate Accord, the emission gases produced by developing countries. The US is positioned there in
the
not
Matter Convention, all of those ones.
Exactly. Of course, Donald Trump and the Republicans don't really believe human activity causes emissions, all of that. So they don't believe in climate change or supporting it as much as the Democrats do. So on this particular issue, 50% think Kamala Harris will do better on that.
Okay.
As compared to 31 to Donald Trump. On jobs and the economy, and it was Bill Clinton who declared the famous maxim, "Is the economy stupid?" It's meaning that the economy is a huge determinant of an electoral outcome. On jobs and the economy, 48% think Donald Trump will do better in handling the economy, and 44% think Kamala will do better. So they trust Trump more in the economy. On foreign policy, and I'll just do two more at the end. On foreign policy, 46% think Trump will be better on foreign policy compared to 43. Yes.
Wow.
And we can talk about that later.
Yeah, we can. We'll digest these figures.
Yes. And then inflation, 48% think Trump will do better in handling or reducing inflation compared to 43.
Yes, this one is for Prof. I wanted to find out from Prof. How he thinks American media has shaped voter perception, both home and abroad.
Thank you very much, Helen. Thank you very much. How American media has shaped voter perception.
That's right.
It's huge. You know, the media plays a very significant role when it comes to election. They have a huge media market. They have a pretty good literacy levels in the US, so a lot of people turn to media, radio, television. But I think television is more of a big deal, and the internet is more of a big deal over there. The media are split along ideological lines to some extent, but they do still have independent traditional journalism like we do here, even though people read political leanings into it. But generally, we still have normal journalism. But the ideological undercurrents are there. So depending on the media that you go to, that will determine what you get. So if you go to the liberal media, the New York Times, the CNN, the Boston Globe, and all of that, you're likely to get content that is more favorable towards issues of multiculturalism, issues of poverty, and some social issues. If you go to the conservative media, they're going to go really, really hard on immigration, racial issues, and all of that. So, but the media does play a role too when it comes to the polls, because you realize that a lot of the media collaborate with the universities,
etc.
to do the debates. For the first time, it was the media that actually organized the debate. Normally, it's by the Presidential Debate Commission. But for the first time, it is the media, ABC, CNN, and then CBS. So, I mean, and they've done a lot of public forums, a lot of town hall, and all of that. So, they've been pretty much a very, very active part of the process.
The both ladies, Angela and Della, they think that Donald Trump, he has an idea of, you know, what he wants to do, but he doesn't know exactly what he wants to do. And then Angela says, well, he's not sure if it's gathering momentum, it's all hype. What do you say?
Yes, Donald Trump has been a very eccentric candidate, and he has been a very paranormal candidate in the sense that he is not being your sense of who a traditional presidential candidate will be. If you look at the way he organized his campaign, he is the beginning and the end of the campaign. In traditional campaign strategy, they will tell you that the media, the medium is the message. In Trump terms, the candidate is the message. He
puts himself right at the center.
Yes, he is the policy. He would normally not have a strategy. He is the strategy, and it has worked for him in the sense that he has trusted his instincts, he has trusted his guts, he has trusted his spontaneity, and he has appealed to certain issues that lie at the core of middle America, or at the heartbeat of conservative America. And so that is the way in which he has carved his political identity and tapped into these emotional aspects of rural America, so to speak. And so yes, for those who look at a professional regular campaign,
Right.
it does look a bit.
You won't find the ingredients in there.
Yeah,
But then he has reorganized it to his advantage to favor him.
Yes, it worked for him to that extent. You know, they talk about Project 2025, which is a group of conservative scholars and policy people who have come together to put together a document
Right.
which would kind of help or guide him should he be elected. That kind of becomes a formal sort of structure
Right.
that will guide him. So, but he's although he's rejected it. I mean, there've been evidence that he has been with those who have put together that document, and that document seeks to change the way in which government is organized. Some departments would be abolished. He plans to introduce conservative officials or issues into the civil service and all of that. So, to the extent that you are looking for policy, that's part of what he has. But pretty much he has been the policy, and maybe that is what they mean by that. I mean, I kind of understand where they're coming from.
But Prof, let me put that question to you.
Yeah.
The next generation, they are watching what's happening now. Some may not be at the age of discretion to vote, but clearly they will remember this day if their parents are so involved in things, and then they'll be looking at how the decisions their parents take today will inure to their benefit or otherwise in future. What do you see?
Well, I mean, by the grace of God, I was out there in March earlier this year during the Republican primaries and during the CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee conference.
Right.
I also had to deliver some guest lectures at. I'm sure that's probably where they lies in the University of Maryland.
Right.
So I took the chance to speak to a lot of students on the college campus.
Right.
Many young people are exasperated by the political system in America. You can feel that sense of disappointment. They seem not to like both choices, that especially at that time Biden was still on the ticket. They think it's still the old man's club or the old club that is running the country.
Right.
They are apoplectic about America's incursions in the international system.
Right.
Most of them are concerned about America's role in the Israeli Gaza situation, and they would wish that there will be a lot more concern about human rights in the nation. They are disenchanted by the acerbic rhetoric that has characterized the political system, and they feel that they have been shut out and their issues have not been front and center of the political campaign. So the candidate that would appeal to these sentiments of young people, cancelling college debt, the cost of living, cost of going to college and all of that.
Right.
I mean, these are things that they are very much concerned. And for a lot of young women as well, they see some of the rhetoric by people like Donald Trump as an affront to their rights. And so if you look at it, Kamala Harris is leading Donald Trump by double digits among college women as well. So young people in the U.S. would rather tune to candidates with fresh and new ideas who would change the system and move it forward.
You were giving me some figures earlier, dynamics as we call it. Let's get into it again so that you can tell me what perhaps informed their choices to make those decisions in areas that Kamala is doing better than Trump and vice versa.
Right. So, I mean, if you look at, let's say, abortion, you see, the thing is, abortion is a big issue because now it's illegal, but a lot of females feel that they should be allowed to do whatever they want to do with their bodies or to have control over those decisions, and that the government or the state should not be dictating what they do. But apparently, as it stands, in most places, you cannot even do that. In the state, it would literally be illegal to make those decisions about your body. You got to even move to another state. So on those issues, women are supporting Kamala Harris hugely. When it comes to foreign policy, the reason why Trump is trusted could be because in an American election they always look for the strong man. They want the courageous, bold, strong image that would lead America because of that idea of America being
land of the brave and home of the free.
Yes, so that strong man mentality is a huge factor, and because of I mean, Trump's, rhetoric, the bold language that he uses, there is that sense oftentimes that Republican leaders would be stronger on foreign policy.
Right.
And so that is it. And Kamala Harris has not really done, she's done quite a bit in foreign policy, but she's not been seen for a long time as a foreign policy aficionado. On immigration, and to me, if you ask me, the top 3 issues: immigration, jobs, the economy and inflation,
right,
and then reproductive rights.
Okay.
On the 2 issues Trump is leading on immigration,
right,
there are a lot of people who are really incensed by the incursions,
the influx of people from all places into the U.S.
Oh yeah, trust me, like that is a big issue. And so on that, Trump is leading 50-41 on Kamala Harris. Compared to Kamala Harris, they feel she's not done enough on the border. Remember,
41.
Yes,
to
41.
50.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah. So if anybody tells you this election is a runaway for the Democrats, I don't think so. I think that is actually part of the reason why they are running neck and neck. Even though Kamala seemed to have come with a lot of excitement, a lot of newness, a lot of freshness, a lot of joy. The question that people have been asking is, but why hasn't she closed the deal? Why hasn't she been able to ride on that to overcome Donald Trump? It is because of issues like immigration by nativist, hardcore Midwestern American, rural Americans who are incensed or who are disenchanted by people who do not look like them in coming into the country.
Right.
They want that wall built. They want more border patrol officials, and they trump that Donald Trump would do better on that than Kamala Harris.
I see.
And that is why the election is looking the way it's looking.
Great. Prof, I'll wrap up with you. Angela has told us what she thinks. Della has told us what she knows. You tell us. You teach this. I'll go back to that point. You're a master of this game. Tell us. You're looking into the crystal ball. What do you leave us with?
Well, I think that elections are always a very good time to decipher the political culture of a country, and you can determine that by the issues that are important to the people in that country at that moment. Elections are also about the future, and they're about the kind of society and the kind of world that we want to live in. If we elect a Donald Trump, or if they elect a Donald Trump, who is somebody who is not an internationalist, who is not a globalist, who does not believe in multiculturalism, who does not believe in climate change, who supports and admires dictators, who likes the strong men, would rather hobnob with autocrats like Vladimir Putin or the leaders in North Korea. That is the kind of world that we're going to have with Donald Trump. But at the same time, for a lot of Americans, they look at him and they kind of like his America First appeal. They like his nativist appeal. They like his say it tell it as it is appeal. And so that is what it is. For Kamala Harris, she does believe a lot in human rights. You would expect that when she comes, she'll be a lot more concerned about human rights, both at home and abroad. I believe LGBTQ rights will be a big thing for her. She also believes in freedoms, in sexual reproductive freedoms, in abortion rights and all of that. She is somebody who has prosecuted a lot of criminals, and she's also quite big on healthcare and education. So that is the kind of world that we will be living in. But she also is an internationalist. She's a globalist. You would expect that she would reach out a lot more to the rest of the world. So that's what we're looking at. If you put all of this together and you talk about the kind of America or the kind of society that we're going to have, these are the two different worlds that are going to be presented to us. But it's all going to boil down to the swing states at the end of the day. These 7 states on election day are what is going to determine the outcome of the election. Everything that we've discussed, everything that we've said is going to boil down to what people in certain critical swing battleground states think. Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada. Yes, it's going to come down to what the voters...
What they think.
Yes, in
which
what
will
they think.
shift the power either to the left or to the right.
Yes, to the right. And that is why it's very close, because if you look at Pennsylvania right now, they are running neck and neck. If you look at Nevada, Harris is up by maybe a point or two.
Right.
In Arizona, Trump is up by 0.1%.
Those are huge numbers.
Yeah,
If you convert them into real-time voters, they're huge numbers.
Yes, but it also shows how close the race is.
Right.
Because 0.1, that's not even 1%.
No.
Yeah. So it shows a lot how close it is. You go to Michigan, I think Michigan is neck and neck because of there are a lot of Arab Americans living over there who care about the Israel-Gaza thing.
Right.
And that is a problem for the incumbent administration. Yeah, so Michigan, they're running neck and neck. In Wisconsin, which you really need to win, I think Harris is up there, so they can count that. But in Pennsylvania, which most American presidents need to win the election, they are running neck and neck there. And then we have North Carolina, where Trump is up by maybe 1 or 2%, but Harris is counting on the college voters and the young people to make it through in that place. So these are really in Georgia. And in Georgia.
Yesterday they were in Georgia.
I'm sorry?
Yesterday they were in Georgia.
Yes, a lot of them were in Georgia yesterday because Georgia is supposed to be a Republican state, but they've started shifting lately, so the Republicans need it very badly. But Joe Biden won it the last time around,
right?
Which means the Democrats do have a chance to win over there as well. So for all the conversations that we've had, where these people stand on the various issues is what is really going to tilt the outcome of the election.
Prof, I know that each time the American election comes, it's just, ahead of ours.
Yes.
And then people start doing permutations. So if it goes the way of Democrats, what do you see?
Well, I mean, that's a very interesting thing, and I think that's the exciting part of comparative politics and global politics. Like I said, at the end of the day, elections, the strategy, the politics, the polls are very interesting, they are nice, but then it's also a good chance for people to decide the kind of society they want to live in, the kind of culture. Do they want to live in a society where gay rights are legal or not? Do they want to live in a society where education is free or not? Do you want to live in a society where healthcare is free without an individual mandate, or there is an individual mandate? Immigration, should we ban people from certain Muslim countries, or should we open it up? Should the spouses of Americans be given visas to stay, or they should be sent back? Should students be sent back to their countries after graduation? I mean, international students, or they should be given some time to work and live over there. So elections are always almost about the kind of society and culture that we want to live in the future that we want for ourselves. The other exciting things about the permutations that you talked about, although those permutations didn't work in 2020, because in 2020 we had a Democrat win in the US and the NPP, a conservative winning over here. Over there. So for me, I don't think there's any science to it. I think it's more anecdotal. I think it's a very interesting qualitative observation that we see, and it's nice also that we have our election coming after that, so you can do the comparison. They had their debate. At some point, Donald Trump said he wasn't going to do the debate, and over here we do have a political party also say they're not going to do it, but eventually they did it. So it's always interesting because it happens in the same season, and it offers very good and important opportunities to compare and to learn and to see what works here, what doesn't work here, how do they do it there, and how do they do it here, what can we learn or not learn from each other. I think those are very interesting parts of the race, and we'll see how it turns out this year as well.
Prof, it's been a good morning. Professor H.H. Kanku is a professor of journalism and communication, and he's joined us here with his nice suit, University of Media, Arts and Communication.